'cause tonight will be the night that I will fall for you over again. Don't make me change my mind.
Stay long, lead kicks, just stay long with it, yeah? Hold it better.
Like, are you still freezing a bit?
It's his cardio. He doesn't have the energy to go 5 rounds.
What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about Alexander Volkanovski, and if I believe he can go on one more run. He just beat Diego Lopez, a fight that, you know, a lot of people did not pick Volkanovski. I'm one of those people that did, but a lot of people did not. A lot of people said Diego Lopez was going to knock him out immediately in the first round, but he beat him. He showed him how to real fight. He showed the kid how to really fight. But in all seriousness, Volkanovski, do I think he can go on another run? Let's see. We'll start with who in all likelihood is his next opponent, Movsar Evloev. Now, I've spoken about this fight before. I think he puts the freaking brakes on Movsar Evloev. Honestly, if this is his first title defense, it'd be a tremendous win. And I'm not saying it's going to be an easy fight, but I think stylistically, Movsar Evloev, he doesn't have finishing ability. Like, no offense to him, but he just doesn't. Now, I know he can obviously gain finishing ability. You know, it's not like he's obviously going to be improving. He's a relatively young guy. You know, maybe he could work on his jiu-jitsu or his power, but he just doesn't have finishing ability from the fights I've seen him have. Arnold Allen, I arguably thought beat him. You know, I know it was a split decision, but I thought Arnold Allen won that fight. Aljamain Sterling, razor close fight with him. He just poses no finishing threat, right? Like, on the ground, he's really not like a submission artist. And on the feet, he's just average. He's good, you know, average, good. I don't know what words you want to use, but he's not a Diego Lopez who has like stinging shots, or he's not super technical like a Max Holloway. And if you want to use the example of a Max Holloway, Volk beat him 3 times. So you have to have finishing ability. Now, whether that's on the ground, whether that's standing up, you have to have finishing ability. You have to have KO power to beat Volk, in my opinion. Even this current version of Volk, which is like, he's a bit past his prime, but not by a lot, in my opinion. He's slightly past his prime, I would say. You have to have finishing ability. You have to have that finishing threat. Now, I know Islam Makhachev did not finish Volkanovski. Well, the first fight he didn't. But that threat was there, right? His striking was really good. He did sting Volk a couple times in that first fight. You know, his grappling, he didn't really get any close submissions, but, you know, he had the back. Like, he had good positions for those types of submissions. So Evloev, I can't see him getting the back of Volk, you know? I can't see him getting top mount and raining down shots. I just can't see him getting these really good positions on the ground. And then on the feet, it's just, he doesn't have the kicks of a Yair Rodriguez, who we'll get to, but he doesn't have the kicks of a Yair Rodriguez or the volume of a Max Holloway or the power of an Ilia Topuria. He doesn't have any of those tangibles, you know. So I think, yeah, he's a good grappler. Strength-wise, can he out-muscle Volk? I don't really think so. I think Volk is one of the strongest guys in the UFC, or at least in featherweight. I think he's the strongest guy in featherweight. Like, you just can't seem to keep this guy down for that long. Like, I know Makhachev did, but Makhachev is a lightweight. We're talking about featherweight. Featherweight-sized guys at featherweight, Volk is probably the strongest. So Evloev is not going to have that physicality advantage over him. I think Volk's got that one. Now, if Volkanovski were to face Yair Rodriguez again, I can't see it being that much different. I'm sorry. Yair Rodriguez, he's good. You know, his last fight against Pitbull, it was good. You know, it seems like, I wouldn't say he made improvements. He kind of fought the same as he always does, threw a lot of kicks, was a bit dynamic. At times he could be a bit boring because he doesn't pressure as much. But it was good. It was a good fight. Well, it was a good fight for him because he won and he 30-27 Patricio Pitbull. Patricio, I hate saying that guy's name. Patricio Pitbull. Stupid ass name, but that's very impressive. But if he faces Volk, I can't see it being much different than the first fight. Yair leaves himself open for hooks. You know, I think Volk's lateral movement, his footwork, his own kicks are very good. He throws very, very fast leg kicks. You know, I've seen people like, oh, Volk looks a bit slower. To me, Against Diego, he looked maybe not just as fast, but he's right there. He looked right there in my opinion. His leg kicks, his speed, he still has a bit of sting in his shots. You know, he stumbled Diego a couple of times. I think it would be the same. I think Yair, again, yeah, if Yair's putting the pressure on somebody, which he really does not, like he didn't put the pressure on Pitbull, and Pitbull was able to land on Yair a couple of times. He was able to land those hooks. He was able to get on the inside. If that's Volkanovski is a master at getting on the inside. He's pretty good at pocket boxing, even though I always worry when he fights in the pocket. He won a couple of those exchanges against Diego in the pocket. You know, he stung Diego, again, a couple of times with that left hook, with that right hand. I can't see it being much different. Plus, his grappling could pose a threat to Yair. Yair is a little bit frail for featherweight. He's in good shape, but he's still kind of a small, not smaller, but he's a skinnier guy. He's tall, but he's a skinnier guy. And I just can't see it being much different than the first. I don't know, like really what, unless Yair Rodriguez just try to put a lot of pressure on Volk and really just try to take his head off. I just can't see it being that much different. I'm sorry. The one that I worry about here, Volkanovski versus Jean Silva. I worry about this one. It might be too soon to say. I know he's only coming off of like a Bryce Mitchell win, but he showed off his grappling. He shucked off Bryce Mitchell like it was nothing, like he was nothing. He submitted him. He had another submission attempt in the first round as well. What the fuck, bro? What are these guys made of? Are these guys on roids? No, they're not on roids. They're just really good, I think. And I worry about a Jean Silva-Alexander Volkanovski fight. Look, I like Jean Silva. I said he could be a future champion. I did say this many months ago. So call me Mystic BXG, I guess. But no, seriously, Volkanovski versus Jean Silva, I'm terrified. Like, Jean Silva, he's really good. He doesn't just have KO power. He has really good distance management. His kicks are pretty good. He goes for the body as well. Like, a lot of the fighting nerds actually go for the body, which I know is like a weird praise, but a lot of these fucking UFC fighters just think, oh, let me just throw big clubbing shots to the head. A lot of these guys don't go for body shots. I mean, watch Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. One of the worst fights of the year, in my opinion, because it was just so shit. It was the best example of what 2025 UFC has been so far, at least up until the last pay-per-view 314, but it was such a terrible fight, and it was in the Apex as well. But nonetheless, my point is those guys didn't even go for a single body shot, just headshots, and the fighting nerds and Jean Silva, they go for body shots. They go for punches, they go for knees, they go for kicks to the body. And now that they have grappling, now that Jean Silva has grappling, again, I think Volk could win it. I think Volk could keep his distance. I think his defense is not bad. Like, yeah, he got caught by Diego that one time in round 2. Well, he got caught a lot in that fight against Diego, and his chin is seemingly still good. You know, when he got knocked down by Diego, it was a bit of a flash knockdown. It wasn't like he was completely hurt. You know, it was a bit of a flash knockdown. He got up quickly. He was still with it. He was still throwing back. You know, so I think his chin is still good. You know, I think he took a lot of big shots from Diego. That uppercut, a couple of hooks. He's still in it. He's still very tough. Against Jean Silva, man, Jean Silva has crazy KO power. So did Diego, though. You know, let's. I mean, does Jean Silva have more power than Diego Lopez? I don't know. If we're assuming they have the same level of power, right? Let's just assume. Then maybe Volk can take some of Jean Silva's shots. Defense-wise, even though I hate that he kind of does that lean back thing where he kind of leaves his chin up, at times it did work. At times it doesn't work because that's how he got caught by Ilia and that's how he got caught in the second round by Diego. But at times it does work. You know, Jean throws good elbows. Jean is dynamic, but I think Volk can keep his distance. But the grappling could be an issue. But I do think Volk is stronger than Bryce Mitchell, so I think he will have a little bit more success with the takedowns. I don't think he'd put himself in those positions to get subbed by Jean like Bryce did. Shoot, man, I'd have to. It's just tough. It might be too early to say. I would have to say for now Volkanovski. I think he would make smart decisions. He wouldn't be in the pocket or anything with Jean Silva. I think he'd be smart enough to keep his distance, and I could see them emoting at each other a little bit. No, but I think he'd be smart enough to keep his distance from Jean, mixing the grappling well enough, land a couple of his own shots. I mean, we haven't really seen Jean face like an elite striker either, like Volkanovski. If you think about it, Jean Silva's fought Bryce Mitchell, a grappler, who was actually landing pretty good leg kicks on him, and Volk has better leg kicks than fucking Bryce Mitchell, right? But we haven't seen him face an elite striker. Bryce Mitchell, not a striker. Jourdain is good. He's not elite, though. Neither is Drew Dober. Neither is Melsik Bagdasarian. He's never faced an elite striker. And Volkanovski is an elite striker, and he can land shots, and he's got a phenomenal jab and a phenomenal hook, and every Volk shot is really phenomenal. No glazing, but it's the truth. He keeps his distance pretty well. I would have to say Volk for now. But if Jean Silva goes out there and knocks out like Lerone Murphy or Yair, whoever they give him next, then hey, Volk, just hang it up. Just hang it up, buddy. Unfortunately, I have to bring this guy up because he's on a winning streak, even though he's piss boring. Lerone Murphy. Anyways, Volk would destroy him. No, Lerone Murphy, man. Who cares, right? He's a counter striker, He's a decent counter striker. He stays on the outside. He has good distance management. His grappling isn't nothing elite. He can get hit, but he likes to stay out of the way. I actually think, Volk's reach wouldn't be a problem. I think Volk could actually beat this guy pretty handily, to be honest. Volk can play the distance game too. But Volk can also get on the inside really well. He can cut off his opponents pretty well. His leg kicks would be good. I think he would mix in his grappling. Yeah, I'd have to say Volkanovski. I don't look. Lerone Murphy is such a weird case. Like of all these names, it's like you got Yair, but Lerone Murphy, it's just like how do I? It's like, okay, Lerone Murphy. I don't know. Lerone Murphy, I mean, yeah, he beat Josh Emmett, but it was also, he had a really close fight with Josh Emmett, too. Maybe it wasn't close, but he made it competitive with Josh Emmett, but it was still boring, but it was also competitive. I don't know, man. I can't really see. What can he do to Volk? He doesn't really have a lot of KO power. He doesn't really have good jiu-jitsu. It's the same with like Evloev. It's like the only thing is Murphy is better at managing distance, I guess, or just running away, whatever you want to call it. I think Volk would still be able to get on the inside, piece him up a little bit in the pocket. I could even see Volk dropping him or something. I know Dan Ige dropped Lerone Murphy. I'm not going to use that. Like, obviously, it's a flash knockdown. You're going to get hit in fights, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. I think Volkanovski would have his way with Lerone Murphy a little bit. Now we can discuss Ilia Topuria and how he would have done against Volk in a rematch. So far I've picked Volk to pretty much beat all the guys on this list. This is tricky. Ilia Topuria, Volkanovski. I don't like that there's been a little bit of, you know what? Maybe Volk would have beat Ilia in a rematch. I don't think so. I'm sorry, Volk. I think Ilia Topuria would have still knocked out Volkanovski. I know, don't call me a traitor, please, all right? But seriously, I just think Volkanovski, tremendous distance management, right? But so far, none of the guys that I've mentioned, Jean Silva, Yair, Lerone Murphy, Evloev, none of those guys, Diego Lopez especially, are really good at cutting off the cage. The way Ilia Topuria is. The way Ilia Topuria can cut off his opponents and corner them into the cage. That's why he's so good. His opponents end up against the cage not because he puts them there. He does put them there. That's the thing. It's not because of some chance or just some coincidence. They end up against the cage because he cuts them off so well. And he ends up finding them against the cage. There's really not much deeper to explain it. He's just really good at cutting off his opponents. And I think Volkanovski is really hittable. Like, he's really, really hittable. even though I'd pick him to beat Jean Silva, who has great power, to me, Ilia Topuria has better footwork and a little bit better timing than Jean Silva. I think Jean Silva doesn't have the ability to cut off the octagon the way that Ilia Topuria can, I think. And I think, again, Jean Silva, he's great. He's a great fighter. I love to fight him. He's a great fighter. No, he's really great. But I think Ilia Topuria, he's better than a lot of these guys on this list because though he's hittable, he can get hit. He has a good chin. I like to think he has a good chin because he's taking shots from guys like Holloway and Volk. Pretty clean shots. Holloway was landing some good shots against Ilia, so he has a good chin. Again, man, Ilia, the way his timing is tremendous. He throws body shots as well. His leg kicks are pretty good, pretty underrated leg kicks as well. His grappling could be a bit of a factor. Volkanovski in that first fight, he was trying to take down Ilia. Ilia shucked him off multiple times, man. Everyone wants to talk about, ooh, Ilia got taken down by Bryce Mitchell like 4 years ago. Like, as if that's like a barometer of how he would do at lightweight, by the way. I still think Ilia does good at lightweight, but that's besides the point. Volkanovski, he couldn't get his takedowns off against Ilia. I think it'd be the same here, man. I really do. This fight probably won't happen unless Volk moves up to lightweight, so. But I think the result, unfortunately, would be the same. I think Ilia Topuria would probably knock out Volk in the later rounds, unfortunately. Again, Volk's chin is good. It's one of those where it's like, I can sit here and I could say Ilia would beat him, but then you never doubt Volk, right? So I don't know, but I've never doubted Volk. But I just think in this one, it's a tricky fight. Let's say Volkanovski did move up to lightweight, though. I'll give you guys 4 names. So we'll start with Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan versus Volkanovski. Tricky. Really, really tricky fight. Arman Tsarukyan, great grappler. But I don't believe he has that submission threat the way an Islam Makhachev does. I don't think he has that much of a threat on the ground. He does. Like, he has submissions. He has ground and pound TKOs, blah, blah, blah. But he's not a submission artist. His striking is very good. He's hittable, though. I think Volkanovski could kind of dance around him a little bit. His footwork is pretty elite. He could skate around Arman, but Arman's strong. He's going to be very strong, but Volk has shown that he keeps his strength even moving up a weight class. So, is Arman stronger than Islam Makhachev? Volk was able to have that performance against Makhachev. I know that was so long ago, but it's tricky. It's a tricky fight. I think Volk could just barely beat him via like a razor close decision. I think so. I'm not super confident in saying that, but I think it's a possibility. I just think that, again, Arman's good. He's a bit hittable. Like, he's been hit. He can get hit. He's there to be hit. He does have KO power. I mean, unless, well, he KO'd Benil Dariush, guys, so that means he has one punch KO power. No, he does have power, but I don't think Volk. I think Volk is going to be able to. His footwork might be too much for Arman. The grappling, he could be able to hold down Volk, but again, man, Volk did good against Islam. Again, I know that fight was so long ago, but Volk is. I like to think Volk is not that far removed from the first Islam fight in terms of his skills. I like to think he's still around that level, and if he's still around that level, he's still good enough to beat Arman Tsarukyan. But it will be a very, very close one, in my opinion. As for a guy like Justin Gaethje. Yeah, well, I got Volk in that one. I got Volk in this one pretty comfortably, in my opinion. I think Volk. I could see Volk stinging Gaethje a couple of times. Gaethje's very hittable. We know this. He's been dropped or wobbled or rocked in every single fight of his fucking career. He's very hittable. He's there to be hit. And I think Volk's footwork would just be too much for Justin Gaethje. I think Gaethje's very flat-footed. He's got good low kicks. That could be a factor. Maybe that could slow down Volk a little bit. But Volk has good low kicks himself. He has good distance management. His range, or his reach, won't be too much of an issue. His jab will be good. I could see him busting up that nose of Gaethje. Pause, but I could see it. His grappling, he could use his grappling against Gaethje. I don't think Gaethje's just going to shuck him off. Gaethje can get taken down. We've seen it literally in his last fight. We've seen it in almost Every time he faces a grappler, he gets taken down at some point. Yeah, I think Volkanovski will just dance around him, man. He's going to be emoting. He's going to be talking shit. No, I do think Gaethje in the clinch could be a problem for Volk. Volk's got decent clinch work, though. The leg kicks could be an issue as well. But I just think Volk is going to... He's going to move around, man. He's really... A lot of people they underestimate Volk's ability to move around. Right? You know, they say he's running. He doesn't run. This is glazing because I said Lerone Murphy runs away, but then I'm saying Volk doesn't run. He doesn't, though. He uses lateral movement. You know, he pops in and out of range. I think he's going to do that against Justin Gaethje. My pits are sweaty. As for Charles Oliveira, what the fuck was that? Charles Oliveira, man. This is interesting. Charles Oliveira, he has a submission threat. He has KO power. But the thing is, Charles Oliveira is very similar to Diego Lopez in that he does not move his fucking head. Terrible head movement. Just charges forward, hands up. Charges forward, hands up. Charges forward, hands up. You know, very just Muay Thai stance. Very just, I'm going to go forward. There's nothing you can do about it. And it leaves him open to being hit. Dude, Chandler almost had him out of there in the 5th round in his last fight. So, I think, honestly, the submission threat would be a problem. I think Volk has the strength, though, to be able to get up from those takedowns, not be shucked around by Oliveira. The clinch work would be a problem, but Volk, again, has his own underrated clinch work. Shit, man, this is tough. I think I got Volkanovski. On the feet, man, I think Oliveira is, yeah, he has great power, but who's he shown that again? Like, I don't want to use like the MMA math or like, but bear with me here, right? If you look at who he's shown his power against, Justin Gaethje literally gets rocked against every guy ever. Literally, my grandma has rocked Justin Gaethje in a fight before, right? Michael Chandler comes in with his chin up, just terrible defense, terrible, like, you know? Islam Makhachev shut him down like that. Instantly shut him down. Just punched him in the face, subbed him, just like that, right? Chandler in the rematch, he was more patient. Oliveira didn't really get much off of him on the feet. You know what I mean? It's like this... Oliveira went in there for, what, was it 3 or 5 rounds with Tony Ferguson? A washed Tony Ferguson. Couldn't even get him out of there. I know he almost broke his arm. He almost broke Ferguson's arm, that is, but I don't know. I think Oliveira, yes, he has some great finishes, but if you really look at who he was finishing, like, well, Chandler, Gaethje, and then Poirier, he didn't have much for on the feet because Poirier is defensively pretty smart, you know? Honestly, I think Volkanovski, defensively smart himself. He's not going to go in with his head forward like Chandler or Gaethje. He's not very hittable. He's going to be able to use his footwork. I know I keep saying that, but Volkanovski has fucking elite footwork. But as well as that, Oliveira just has no head movement. He's very just center line, head on the center line. Bop, bop, 1-2, 1-2. He doesn't move his head for nothing. You could throw a head kick, he wouldn't move his head. He just head on the center line at all times for Oliveira. And it's similar to what Diego Lopez did, and I just think the thing is, Oliveira is most likely got better jiu-jitsu than Diego Lopez, I would imagine. So I would say so, right? No, he definitely does, but I don't know, man. I think Volkanovski's not. I think he could potentially match Oliveira's strength, if not outmuscle him. Honestly, maybe that's crazy to say, but at the very least, he's as strong as Charles Oliveira, especially up a weight class. Now, before we get to the last one, obviously, there's names like Max Holloway I didn't mention. Because Max Holloway, he doesn't beat Volkanovski 20 times out of 20, I'm sorry. And then names like Dustin Poirier, he's retiring, so it's not really possible. These are more just possible matchups. But yeah, before I got to the last guy, I just wanted to say, like, there's a reason I didn't mention those 2 names. Now, the last name I think Volkanovski could potentially face, and I don't want to see this fight. It's Makhachev Volkanovski. I don't know, man. This is just not stylistically, it's just not good for Volk, man. You have a guy that can match you on physicality, if not can out-muscle you at times. He has submission threat. He has great kicks, great boxing. He's pretty good defensively, honestly. Like, yeah, he got hit a lot in that Poirier fight, but his defense was also pretty good in that fight as well. He throws a lot of good strikes. You know, he throws a lot of head kicks as well, man. Volk is there to eat a head kick. I can't see it ending the same way. If they were to rematch, or it would be a trilogy, obviously. I could see Volk not getting head kicked in the first fucking round, but unfortunately, I could see a slightly more dominant Islam Makhachev decision, or even like a late rounds finish, unfortunately. Some sort of late round submission or something. It's just, Islam Makhachev is just too good. Trust me, this pains me to do. I don't want to glaze Makhachev. I like Makhachev as well, but I love Volkanovski. But I have to be honest here and say, like, I just think Volkanovski just can't. That's one of those questions. The Islam Makhachev fight is a question Volk can't answer. Let's just say that. I'm throwing one-liners like I'm Chael, but seriously, it's just one of those fights. It's the same with the Topuria fight. It's like a stylistic nightmare for Volk. Makhachev has good footwork. He's got pretty good distance management as well. He's going to just use his grappling. His cardio is good for 5 rounds. He's got strength. He could outmuscle Volk, honestly. I'd have to pick him. I think Volk could have good moments. I do think Volk could have good moments, but I don't know. I just think stylistically, it's just, you have a guy that can finish you on the ground, on the feet, though there's more of a chance he finishes you on the ground than on the feet because he has more submissions, obviously, but you have a guy that has that double threat, as Anthony Smith would say. Unfortunately, I would have to go with Islam Makhachev, but it's not a complete shutout. It's a possibility that Volk could do well in a third fight against Makhachev, but as he gets older, you know, Makhachev is getting older as well, but I think, you know, I just think Volk he's 36, 35. By the time this fight would even happen, I'm sorry, Volk. I'm sorry. I can't see it. I can't see Volkanovski beating Makhachev, a guy that's just, dude, Makhachev is too big for lightweight, you know? And Volk is too big for featherweight. Like, Volk is perfect for lightweight, even though he might be a little bit undersized against certain guys, but against Makhachev, it's just, you're facing a welterweight size lightweight, and you're a featherweight size lightweight. I'm sorry, I have to pick Makhachev, but, you know, I'd love to sit here and say that Volk would 50-45 Makhachev. I low-key thought Volk won the first fight against Makhachev, but anyways, so that's about it, guys. Do you think Volk could go on one more run? I think it's possible, honestly. There's a lot of featherweight contenders he can beat, and he's talked about moving up to lightweight as well, so that's why I mentioned, you know, some lightweight guys as well. I threw them in there. But yeah, what do you guys think? Make sure you guys like and sub. Become a member in the description. Thank you guys so much. Peace.